To Southern Illinois?
I think Western Kentucky is probably the best ones, obviously, being FBS and everything that it was, and it was a great experience there. But then, Southern Illinois and West Florida were pretty close between those two. I always felt like West Florida really was like an FCS school at the Division II level, so I'd rate it pretty close to Southern Illinois in that aspect.
What were your NIL opportunities like? I mean, obviously, you were one of the first guys from D2 to sign an NIL deal. How did that change when you got to Western?
Yeah, at West Florida, I got taken care of at the Division II level for sure, and they definitely took care of me, and it was something I was really appreciative of. And then when I got to Western Kentucky, really kind of had to earn it. Didn't really have anything at first. But after 2022, Red Towel Trust really took care of me, and really an awesome experience there this past year. I think they do one of the best collectives in terms of group of five that there is out there. They really took care of me, and I'm really blessed with what they did for me this past year.
Obviously, you swing the hell out of the ball. What do you prefer, a more wide-open spread offense or a more compressed offense, kind of like what we saw the 49ers do on their way to the Super Bowl this year?
Yeah, I really think as a quarterback, it's your job to be adaptable. So for me, I'm really just playing any kind of offense. Obviously, I've had success in the air raid, and that's kind of what I did in college. But, I'm looking forward to playing in any kind of offense, given the opportunity at the National Football League.
Now, how does that change for you when you have guys that are compressed around the line of scrimmage? What does that change for your game?
Yeah, I think you just kind of have to know your reads. You have to know the offense. You have to know your job in that system, play within the system, do what the coach is asking you to in terms of reads and your responsibility. So air raid was kind of a lot of free-flowing stuff, and you're making plays out there and stuff like that. And when you get into one of those offenses in the league, you kind of have to just know your responsibilities and play by the rules of the offense.
Hey, Austin, Jacksonville contingent here. If you could just walk us through your journey when you think back, St. Augustine High School, now you're at the Indianapolis for the Combine.
Yeah, it's really incredible if you think about it. Honestly, probably out of everyone here at the Combine, I'm probably the least likely candidate to be here. It didn't start till my senior year of high school at St. Aug. Had a pretty good year and then went to FCS, and it didn't work out there. And then going to Division II and having the success I had there, and taking a chance and transferring up to FBS, and probably not expected to win the job at Western Kentucky, much less have the career I had. So, I'm just really thankful for everywhere that God's brought me in my life, and I feel like every step and every part of my journey has kind of been why I am and who I am. And so for me, it's really been incredible. I really can't do anything but thank God for everything that I've accomplished and been given in this life.
I just described you as an OG 6 points guy. You're one of the originals. What does it mean, seeing number one what 6 points has become, but secondly, being able to train with all those guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I've been training there since my junior year of high school, and with Denny Thompson and our group of guys, whether it was myself, Jeff Sims, and now Carson, balling at Georgia. So the fact that all of us were just a bunch of high school kids from the 904, and we're just hoping to have good careers, and now it's kind of come to fruition, is something that's really awesome. It's something that's a blessing for sure.
What do you make of what Carson did at Georgia last year, and next year he might be here as a top prospect?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, I've known Carson forever, and for me, that's not a surprise at all for him to do what he did. I've always believed in that kid and knew when his time came he would be what he is, so it's not a surprise at all.
What's it been like training with Caleb the last 2 weeks?
It's cool. Yeah, I mean, Caleb's a great guy. I don't care what people say on TV or what people's perception of Caleb is. I think Caleb's a great dude, and he obviously throws the ball really well, and it's great to be, he's probably the number one overall pick, and, for me to be around who's probably going to be the number one overall pick and throw side by side to him next day and kind of, test myself against him is a great, challenge for me, and something that I think is only elevating my draft process, and making me be able to be more prepared when I get to the NFL.
Also, from the first time you told me at West Florida to where you are now, how crazy in your mind is this journey?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I was just saying, I can't really do anything but thank God for all of it. I sat down with Denny at dinner last night, and I looked at him, I was like, what are we doing here? At the end of the day, I know I deserve to be here, and I feel like I belong here for sure, but it's like, who would have thought? And so to be here for me is really an accomplishment, and it's the first step, and it's something I've always wanted to do since I was a kid, and to be here is really crazy, to be honest.
Having touched the D2, going from D2 to G5 to play these All-Star games, what have you seen be the difference for those that me are in your situation and looking to get to where you are now?
Yeah, I think you just have to have mental fortitude. I think a lot of guys, if they had the journey I had, would have probably gave up a long time ago or wouldn't be right here. So, I feel like the guys who make it are guys who are just adaptable and have that mental fortitude to make it through the tough stuff. and that's something I feel like I've done in my career. And so, really, there's a lot of different. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and so there's a lot of different ways that guys get here. But I feel like the overwhelming theme is that a lot of guys here have a lot of mental fortitude and have been through some tough stuff, and you kind of just got to be a man about the way you go about this stuff.
Why do you think those things happened to you along the way? Was your game wasn't, now looking back on it, was it the way your game hadn't developed quite yet, the systems you were playing in? Why do you think you hit some of those adversities?
Sure. I mean, I just probably wasn't ready at the time. And, when I got to Southern Illinois, I wasn't a grown-up, and I didn't handle my business like a grown-up. And looking back, I know that. But again, like, when I think of why it happened, I think it all happened as part of God's plan to prepare me for all of this. And so, I'm super thankful for the failures I had at Southern Illinois, and I'm thankful for the bumps in the road and not being prepared to start until my senior year of high school. And I'm thankful for all of those because I feel like it's what's brought me here today. And in the long run, it's going to prepare me for the National Football League, where everything's hard and there's a lot of failure in the National Football League. And so for me, I feel like everything has kind of prepared me to be ready for that level.
Being a D2 guy, did you pay close attention to Tyson Bagent last year at all?
Yeah, I definitely did. I was super excited for him. When I was in D2, it was really like a competition between he and I feel like we kind of pushed each other a lot. And when he did what he did at the Combine last year all the way up to this year at Chicago, I was super happy for him, representing D2 guys. And there's a lot of Division II guys in the league that do a lot of good things. There's a lot of good football at that level. And so when Tyson did it, especially at the quarterback level, it was awesome to see. I was really excited for him.
What was your experience like with Josh Crawford? He's now at Georgia, when he was at Western Kentucky.
Yeah, awesome. Coach Crawford's amazing. He was the receiver coach for us at Western at the time, and I have so many good things to say about Coach Crawford. We stay in touch. He just texted me like a month ago, and to see him get that Georgia job is really a testament to the coach he is, the recruiter he is, and I think he's a great fit for that spot.
He was a receivers coach there. He's a running backs coach at Georgia. What does he bring, despite whatever position he's coaching?
Just energy and good vibes, and he's a great guy to be around in the building, and he's smart. And people play well usually when they're coached by him because, people want to play for Coach Crawford.
There's a lot of conversation about the transfer portal and changes to college football and whether it's good or bad for the sport. As sort of like a transfer portal success story. What's your perspective on that? And have you considered that, if you had gone through this process 20 years ago, your specific journey wouldn't have even been possible?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, you just have to realize that the transfer portal works in many different ways. You go back to that saying I just said, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Certain guys have a reason to be in the transfer portal. Certain guys have another reason. I think everybody just has to be aware of the situation for why a guy's entering the transfer portal. And I know people sitting at home have no idea what another guy's perspective is and what his career is, and so they're going to have their own opinions of it, of course. But everybody's got their own reasons for being in the portal and their own motivation. So I think people just kind of have to understand that.
Being a